Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening with the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So as per usual, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my analysis, I do have a membership section on YouTube. That link is down below in the description of the video, where you get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates for $3 a month, mainly on Tesla stock, but lately I've been updating other stocks as well, like Baba, for instance, on the close, Nike, Google, Amazon, or for $5 a month, you get access to everything I just said, plus NVIDIA daily updates as well. But jumping right into it, NVIDIA closing the day down just over 3%, closing at pretty much $142 per share, which of course is going to be an underperformance compared to the market itself. What does this mean moving forward for NVIDIA? Well, like I said before, right, and like I said yesterday, NVIDIA, it's not looking bad, but it's not looking good. To me, NVIDIA looks very, very neutral. And what I mean by neutral is the fact that, okay, if I had to pick a direction, I still think it looks bullish. I definitely think it looks more bullish than bearish because we're still setting up these higher highs and higher lows so far, which is good, which is absolutely really good. But I personally, at least as of right now, until one of the important levels I'll mention very soon breaks, I personally foresee NVIDIA, which is what I said yesterday, I believe, to be more of a sideways stock for the next few days to potentially even a week or two, right? I do expect NVIDIA to really kind of do nothing for the most part and just kind of go sideways right here in this range. This range right here, I expect it to just zigzag, right? Down into, the 140 to 137 region, all the way up to about the 150s. I currently expect it to pretty much be range bound until one of these levels gives. One of these levels will give, I don't know which one, but you want to kind of wait for a better confirmation. And I still believe that this stock will, after that massive kind of earnings, I don't know, how do I even want to call it, but the whole earnings, I guess, situation, if you will, right? All those options bought, et cetera. Now I think, now that that's out of the way, the premiums are going to start getting burned. The premiums are going to start decaying. And that usually happens by, well, just simply sideways action. That's kind of what I foresee happening for NVIDIA moving forward, right? Now, the most important levels to watch for NVIDIA is essentially going to be, well, we have this market bias right below us, which I did actually enter NVIDIA today. Not the low, but pretty much where we closed actually, which is good, right? So I did begin a starter position and I will begin selling options on NVIDIA because I do believe this stock will become an option seller stock for the foreseeable future, maybe a week, maybe even 2 weeks, but probably about a week or so. I do expect a bit of a bounce though. I do expect a bit of a bounce up to about 144, 145. If I see that bounce, I will start selling calls against the shares I bought. But if we go a little bit lower, I will most likely start selling puts as well. But again, as long as we hold this market bias, I'm bullish. I'm very bullish and I see no reason to be bearish on the stock. And especially as long as we hold the low that we set on this recent swing low, which is currently sitting at about 137.15. As long as we do not break 137.15, I'm bullish. But as long as we stay below pretty much this high up here at about 153, I'm also not overwhelmingly bullish as well, right? Because I think, again, we'll trade roughly within this range. Now, if NVIDIA, let's say for the bullish side, breaks this high. Let's say we break this high and we go up to about 155. Great. We set a fresh new higher high and NVIDIA continues its higher high, higher low trend. And there's no reason to be bearish on the stock. Even right now, I still see no real reason to be bearish on the stock. Now, there are some signals that are a little bit concerning, which we'll talk about very soon. But overall, I don't see a reason to be bearish. As long as we hold the market bias and as long as we hold 137, I think the stock is still really, really, not necessarily really, really bullish, but not bearish for sure. Definitely not bearish because again, I say it's not really bullish because, like I said, sideways action. That's kind of what I expect. Now, what can actually make the stock bearish, right? What can actually turn this thing around and, get a little bit concerning to say the least? Like I said, 137 break and losing the market bias because then we go from essentially making, well, higher highs. Let me go ahead and fix this up a little bit here. Boom, 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 boom. Right. So instead of going from these kind of higher highs, higher lows, essentially for the most part that we've been pretty much making, we would essentially create a fresh new lower low. That would be pretty bearish. Most likely bounce from around this kind of 130 region, make our way back up. Most likely set a lower high around the mid to low 140s in my opinion, and then we most likely start a correction. Now, obviously, if this happens, this will most likely be bearish on the market because NVIDIA is just such a big dog right now. If the NVIDIA ends up having such a correction, this most likely will mean the market will make its way down with it. But that is a potential. That is a potential. Now, of course, until we lose 137, I'm not going to assume this is going to happen. I'm going to assume we continue the uptrend. I'm going to assume we continue these higher highs and higher lows until proven otherwise. That's kind of how trading works. It's bad to always assume too much, right? Because again, I could assume we start this trend. I can assume, maybe now we'll actually break this low. We'll set a fresh lower low, and then we'll set a fresh lower high, and we'll continue down. I can assume that, but I'm not going to pretend it's going to happen until we break this low down here. Once I see that, that's when I'm going to assume that pattern will most likely become a reality, and that's when it no longer really becomes an assumption anymore. But again, it's like, bullish until proven bearish, essentially. As long as we continue making these higher highs and higher lows, I will not actually be overall bearish on the stock. And that's just the simplest way of putting it, right? I see no reason to essentially fight the trend right now. There's no reason to fight the trend, but I do also believe that the trend is going to be kind of relatively sideways for now until we either break above this or break below this rather, or above this level, sitting at around 153. So again, 137. Now, what are some signs of concern? What's telling me that despite NVIDIA being in this kind of uptrend, making these higher highs, higher lows, etc., above market buys, etc., 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 but why, despite those things, do I believe NVIDIA will be going sideways? Well, like I said, number one, I do expect it to be kind of like an option premium kind of burning stock after the earnings call that has officially occurred. I do expect potentially some money actually rotating out from NVIDIA. And I do actually think there's a chance that it starts rotating into things like AMD, which was up 0.6% on the day, though the stock needs to recapture 140, I'm not gonna lie. And even Intel, just two very beaten up semiconductor stocks that I wouldn't be surprised if some money starts to rotate into these bad boys over the next week or two. That's kind of my current assumption. And if that were to happen, that to me tells me that NVIDIA, I don't think is going to sell off unless, of course, it loses 137. It's still too strong of a stock to just simply sell off for very little reason. But I do expect that potential rotation, small rotation, but rotation nonetheless, can potentially make the stock be a little bit more muted for the next, again, week-ish, maybe two. I don't know how long, but for the next few days at the very least. So that's kind of my current assumption. And I will just be selling options on the stock moving forward. But on top of that, we also have the MACD. The MACD, despite us having this, recent move up that we had all the way down from 137 all the way up to, this kind of mid to high 140s region from yesterday, the MACD has just been bearish. The MACD is still crossed to the bearish side, and it's not really showing any major signs of recovering at all, right? So that leads me to believe that the fact that, despite us still having a beautiful trend, still above market bias, these counter indicators that are signaling some bearish momentum, to me, I view them as almost canceling out, and thus, what does that mean? Sideways action. That's my current thesis. Now, obviously, it's a thesis. It could be completely wrong. But again, the only way this thesis gets invalidated is if we actually break trend one way or the other. Watch for those two levels I mentioned. Those are probably the most important things to pay attention to moving forward. But in terms of options flow, let's take a quick look. Options flow in NVIDIA. I assume the bears are getting dominated by the bulls as per usual, and they absolutely are. We actually had it's 2025, but nonetheless, 7.3 million call above the ask coming in on NVIDIA for February 21st, 140 strike, which is unfortunately in the money. So I don't like the fact that it's in the money. I like to see these kind of things out of the money, a lot more bullish in my opinion. So that's pretty good to see. We also had a 1.5 million put, also in the money, 150 for this one, of course. It's obviously flipped, but this one's more short term for next Friday. So a little bit of conflicting results here. But nonetheless, the bulls are overall still definitely dominating. For instance, nice little 4.2 million calls coming in on NVIDIA, but it's exceptionally in the money. And of course, it's also for 2025, 417. So I don't put too much weight into those personally. So nice little 600K for next week, though. That's always nice to see. But yeah, the bulls are still dominating the bears. There's absolutely no question about that, but nothing really short term that's really catching my eye other than this massive put. So could maybe see a little bit more weakness moving into Monday, maybe moving down to a little bit closer into the high 130s, which, not a problem. I will most likely sell cash secured puts as long as we maintain the market bias and as long as we maintain above 137. Taking a look at black box really quickly in terms of options flow, NVIDIA is nowhere to be found on the bearish flow, which is nice to see. It's actually on the bullish flow. Nice little humble 9 million confirmed bullish flow. Nothing to really write home about. So again, for the most part, I stand by my thesis of just sideways action until one of these levels officially gives. And I honestly don't even think we'll come up to about this 153. I honestly think we probably won't go higher than 150. I really don't think we will, unless we close a daily candle above 150. So expect 150 to about 137-ish. sideways action. That's my current thesis until one of them actually gives. But yeah, that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think down below. I'm very excited. I'm excited to start selling options on NVIDIA. I've been waiting for this moment for quite a while now that earnings is out of the way. And I will be continuing to sell options on NVIDIA until the trend has changed. But all in all, thank you so much for watching. See you for the next one. Peace.